So thank you everyone who is here. And we'll just let anybody else join in as they get in. My name is Jaleesa Horton. I'm the head of access services for the SMU libraries. I'm joined with my colleagues Jolene DeVergas. She is the director of the Hammond Library, and Sarah Sanabria, who is over our acquisitions. And you are in the session titled Course Materials and Films for Your Class, the Basics. And so that is what we will be focusing on today. Next slide, please. So while we have seen more and more classes going online over the past generation, especially with the current affairs, we're all having to learn and learn fast what this means for the classroom and the online classroom. With one full semester under our belt, we have learned some new ideas and ways of working that we would like to share with you, as well as reiterating some of the points that we had from last semester. To keep within the 45-minute time limit, your microphones have been muted, but we encourage all questions to be posted in the chat. The moderator will either ask us the posted question or answer it through the chat. I also want to point out that this is just a brief overview as we do only have 45 minutes. So if you have any specific circumstances or very specialized questions, feel free to contact us after this, and we'll be happy to answer those very specific questions then. Once again, welcome and let's get started. Next slide, please. So when it comes to requesting course materials here at the library, we can get lots of different materials for you. However, how can you make these requests? There are a couple of ways that you can do that. Option one is for materials that SMU libraries already own and that we are able to digitize for you. If you look on your screen, you should see a link to the digitization form. It's also found on the SMU Libraries page under services on a link named Teaching in SMU Libraries. And so in this request form, we'll ask you things such as your name, the course number, when you need it by, things of that nature. And so we ask that you add in as much information as possible so that we can get to your request as fast as possible. You could even add in one part just like a link to the Amazon URL. That way we know exactly what you want, exactly the edition, and so that kind of takes out some of the confusion. But the one thing that we always have to remember is that we do have to follow copyright restrictions. And now that we are in the second semester of doing this process, it becomes even that much more important. Under fair use, copies can only be used for one semester without having to have copyright permissions. And so if you're wanting to use something that you used last semester, there are a couple hoops that you will have to go through and try and get copyright for that, but we'll be happy to help you with that. We do have an entire page on copyright support, which you can find at the second link. And we do have a copyright team that you can reach at copyright@smu.edu. So as we go through this process, we'll help walk you through getting rights or things of that nature. If you already own, are the copyright holder for whatever you're wanting to be scanned, that's super easy as well. We'll be more than happy to help you with that. And on the form, if you have already gotten copyright, there is a place to attach that documentation. So if you need any assistance with this, we'll be more than happy to walk you through all of that. And yeah, next slide, please. Option two is for materials that the library does not own a copy of. We would be more than happy to try and get a copy of that for you. And you would do that through the link on this page, and then once again, fill out the form as best as you can. The more information we have, the faster we can streamline the process, and then get it up by the time that you need it to be by. Once submitted, this will be routed to our acquisitions team, Sarah's team, and then they'll be in contact with you if there are any issues or anything arises, and then you'll be notified when it's actually able to be gotten, or if anything happens after that. But say you're wanting some materials and but you used it last semester, so now you can't use it this time because you can't get copyright. What can you do from there? If you need more assistance in finding the correct materials or getting something in a different media form or something of that nature, your subject librarian is a great resource. To find out exactly who that is, we can check on the SMU Libraries page, or you can contact one of us and we can get you in touch with them. We'll be more than happy to help walk you through this entire process. With both of these options, they can be used for any library format, whether that's a book or an ebook or anything that's video or media. But when it comes to video and media, I will now pass that over to my colleague, Jolene.
Next slide, Masumi. Thanks. Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to request video and media in streaming format, knowing that many of you will be teaching remote or you will be teaching face-to-face, but you will have remote students. So I guess that's called hybrid, a hybrid learning environment. And we can accommodate both of those or any of the variety of ways you are teaching your students. We do have major streaming platforms now available. And as these have grown in quantity of films over the past year through requests for streaming. We have Canopy, we have Digital Campus, and Films on Demand. Those are all three streaming platforms, much like Netflix and Amazon. Of course, we can't license Netflix or Amazon. They do not offer an educational license. So if students or faculty have those accounts or memberships, they can certainly watch those films, but they're not, it's not recommended that they use those for classroom use. Films on Demand is the one that has probably the most titles in it. It has about 50,000 titles right now and 320,000 segments of films, mostly documentaries and teaching videos, but there's a number of other types of films. It has a very good search interface. You can search by title or subject, or they have a number of categories that you can search. So if you just need it, if you know the title, you can search by title. If you are just looking for a film about a particular subject, you can do some subject and category searching there. Canopy is another one. We have fewer titles in there, but what we have in there are fully licensed for our use on campus. So multiple users can use them. Also browsable by subject and title. And you can also create clips. So if you don't want to use an entire film in your lecture, you can use a clip, and you can clip part of the film, and it's very straightforward. But if you need any assistance with that, we're happy to help you. You can contact me or any of my colleagues in the library, and we can route you to the right person to help you learn how to make that little segment or clip that you want to use. And then Digital Campus is like Canopy. The films you see in Canopy and Digital Campus are fully available to us. There are other films that are not there, and we simply haven't licensed them yet. So if you make a request, the first thing we're going to do is, and you prefer a streaming format, the first thing we're going to do is look to see if we can license them and deliver them through Canopy or Films Digital Campus. We've also licensed films directly from the distributor. We can also do that if a streaming format is available and has an educational license. So the number of ways we can fill your request. Next slide, please. So here's a resource that's on the SMU Libraries page to help you get to these streaming platforms and also to request. As Jaleesa mentioned, we have a lot of experience under our belts now. We've now streamlined the requests so that we can deliver them faster to you. So we've created a form for you to fill out to request a film. If we already own the film in the library, you can request a streaming version of it, and we will determine whether we can license a version of it or find other options for you and let you know. So in the request form, we ask you to give us a date that you plan to use the film in the classroom this semester, and we ask for whether you need a subtitled version if it's a foreign film. We ask you a number of questions. It's not too onerous, the form. You submit it, it goes into our queue. We have a workflow that we're improving every day and getting those films delivered to you. So you'll hear back from us with the links that you can embed in Canvas or use otherwise. So that's really all I had to say about films, and I look forward to questions you have at the end of the presentation. So next slide, I'll turn it over to Sarah.
All right, so as Jaleesa mentioned, my team works on acquiring the materials and getting them licensed appropriately so we can use them in the classroom. So what do we do after we get your request? Well, first we check to make sure that we don't have it in another format or maybe a different edition, to make sure that we're actually getting the thing that you need. And then we're going to try to purchase a multi-user copy for an ebook directly from the vendor or one of the other platforms that we have set up for acquisitions. That's, if you want the print book, I guess, we'll be happy to order you print books, but remember, we're not having a print reserve service this semester because of the turnaround time it takes when you quarantine materials and all that. So we're going to be prioritizing the electronic version of most of these things as course materials. Next slide, please. So right now we're definitely ordering all of the requests that come in for use during the spring term. We ask for 2 weeks to get access in place, but of course, we'll work to get requests filled as quickly as we can. So don't let that deter you from putting the request in, but also don't wait until the extremely last minute, because that can make problems. All right, next slide, please. So you may be asking yourself, why is the library buying stuff for classes? I don't know. I didn't know they did that. We decided that during this time when we have this weird hybrid model and students kind of blip off into quarantine and then come back out of quarantine and we never know who's going to be where, that if the library can help make students' lives and your lives easier by purchasing electronic versions of course materials, we would love to do that. So that's why we're really putting this focus on getting materials that could be used in courses. And since the provost has told us that we're going to be in this mixed mode for both this spring semester and for the summer sessions, we'll be continuing to try to acquire those things for the spring semester as well. We haven't been overwhelmed by requests for course material purchases, so honestly, I could envision us continuing in some measure to purchase course materials whenever they're available to us. So for books that you guys request, we'll purchase electronic copies with as many users as we can, but please note that not all books are available for the library to license. So we have the most difficulty getting a library license for textbooks, if it's like an introduction to whatever the discipline is. Usually the publisher is planning to sell an individual copy of each of those books to each of those students, and they're not even going to let us buy a copy as an institution. But the other place we run into this problem is with literary works. So if you're planning to assign 10 novels, for instance, maybe we can get some of those, but if it's a fairly recent publication, we may only be able to get access to a single user. And maybe some of you are teaching small classes, or maybe it's an optional reading, and maybe that would work fine. But if you're going to teach a large class and have everybody try to read the same book at the same time and then come together to discuss, it might not be the most useful thing. We have had some professors where they said, well, I'm going to more or less expect students to buy their own copy, but I'm also going to have the library purchase a one-user copy and just let them know that you know, this is only one user at a time. So and you guys still have to be prepared on this day, and then leave it to their discretion as to how they're going to make that work or not, as the case may be. So for films, as Jolene mentioned, you know, if it's streaming, we're going to buy it streaming. If it's not, we'll buy the DVD or the Blu-ray or whatever's available and work to get that formatted and available so that you can use it to teach remotely. For articles, you know, we can provide copies of an article that are that we own. So if it's in a journal that SMU licenses or owns, we can provide that. Jaleesa manages the reserve service under the Access Services umbrella. And so she and her colleagues will get that set up for you. But if it's an article that SMU libraries don't own, that's not something that we as the library can purchase and then make available without running into some copyright problems. Next slide, please. So limitations, just, I think we went over these, but not everything's available online. Textbooks are usually not available for library purchase. And we have run into the problem. There are still books out there that have never been digitized. What? You say, yes, it's true. It's sad, but true. There are still books out there that are not available at all in digital format. And so in those cases, sometimes we can scan them and make part of them available. But if it's a 500-page book and you're wanting your students to read 490 of those 500 pages, that's not going to be something we can digitize and provide as a reserve reading. So just be aware of some of those limitations. Next slide, please. So this is just the, in case you want to investigate slide, but there are open educational resources that some institutions use or prioritize. The best list and resource of these that I'm aware of is the one that's been compiled by Arizona State. And so rather than copy and paste theirs, we'll just let you explore that in your, I'm sure, abundant spare time, if that is of interest. And next slide. What if what I want isn't available? I think some of these slides got a little repetitive at the end, and I'm sorry about that. So yes, we will do our best to get what there is. If what you want's not available, we'll work with you to see if we can find something else that might work. But if not, you know, I know that y'all are the experts in your areas and you want to teach with what you want to teach with. It's not like, oh, hey, let me find you another novel like published in the 19th century, because that's totally no. You know, we'll just do our best. We'll try to steer you to a place where you and your students can get the things you need, and we'll share your disappointment if they're just not available. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's our contact information. I see that we have a question in the chat. Would the library purchase a single digital copy of a textbook for instructor use? So what we can purchase is something that's institutionally licensed. Usually they won't let us buy a textbook that's like a one user kind of thing. For better or worse. I mean, if they will sell it to us, yes, we'll buy it. If they won't sell it to us, then we're limited in our abilities there. So now I guess we can open it up for questions. It looks like we wrapped this up pretty quickly. So since there are so few of us, I think just feel free to unmute yourselves and ask away or chat away.
Well, first, thank you for the answer. I'm teaching from home, and I'm the one who has the paper copy where my students have digital copies, so they share screens in breakout rooms. And I think my department will get me a copy. I think they just forgot. So thank you.
Okay, sure. And you know, if it is something we can buy, like I said, we'll buy it. No worries.
Mm-hmm.
So Hi, Sarah. Thank you for this, and everyone, Jolene and Jalacia. So you said if something isn't already digitized, you said we will help you digitize that, but if you want 90% of a book, maybe we couldn't help you with that. Is that fair? So you're going by fair use on that, and if so, what kind of percentages are we talking about exactly that you could digitize?
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going by fair use. The thing is that fair use doesn't have a percentage that goes with it. They have kind of some suggestions. So we try and stay around about 20%, but we'll work with you here and there on that. But yeah, 90% is just not possible. We would then send it to Sarah to see if we could get an entire electronic copy of that.
Right. And then if I decided to take an afternoon and scan a book like that, and maybe if we didn't talk about it, that would be fine.
Once it's checked out from us, we have no control over what you do with the material. And so we just wouldn't be able to host it or put it anywhere. Like I said, we have no control of what you do with it once you take it.
Okay, thanks.
Right. And just don't put it on a website where anybody can access it. You know, I mean, I think you know the drill there, but yes. Other questions?
Yeah, so I actually do have another one. So
Sure.
Last spring, when we suddenly went to virtual, man, you guys did an awesome job and digitized a couple of movies from me. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the time has run out on those. So does that mean those are lost forever, or would you have to re-digitize, or would you, how?
I can take the question. When we digitize a copyrighted film, we are making it password protected on Vimeo and send you that link, which expires at the end of the semester. I mean, that's really the only way we can do that. If you would like to use that film again, you can put a request in. And no, we have saved some of the films that were requested for the very reason that we expected that they would be needed again. So don't worry about, you know, the workload. We're managing it. But actually the film you requested may now be available to be licensed. So we're going to first look to see if we can get a legitimate licensed copy of that film in one of our streaming platforms, and you know, and if not, we'll give you access again with the password to the film.
Okay, thanks so much. That's perfect. Thanks.
Oh, and just to add, you will need to re-request the film though. We are keeping track of those requests to kind of help us manage our own resources. So if you could use the form and re-request the titles that you requested in the past, that'd be fine.
All right. Any other questions? Y'all, if we were in person, I'd be like handing out M&Ms because y'all came to the last session on the last day. So way to go. Y'all are superstars. But I can't actually stick M&Ms in my computer camera and have them pop out on the other end wherever you are. I don't know what it is about M&Ms. I just really feel like I should give out M&Ms. Yeah. Linda, go ahead.
Well, I do have another one, but wanted to see if other people had questions first.
Go ahead.
So one of my challenges, both in person when I'm there and currently teaching virtually, is finding new materials, you know, because they do go out of date, video clips or videos that show active teaching techniques for our international TAs to use as models, and, you know, cross-cultural communication issues, a lot of things. So I find something once in a while, but most of it is usually pretty dated. I've already been on Films on Demand and Canopy. I check every once in a while, but it has been really challenging to find those sorts of clips to show in class. So I was just putting that out there in case you might be aware of something, that could be in the databases. And if you could put that link to Arizona State University that was on the slide into the chat, that would be great. See what they have.
I will do that. And I'm guessing that you have probably already talked to Evelyn Day, who is our liaison for I assume you probably know Evelyn.
Yep. Actually, the last series of trainings, we brought this up too. And before Evelyn, it was Lisa Wall and others that, we've gotten a lot of support for our ESL materials in the past. So thank you. I will get in touch. And
yeah, I mean, we're always happy to keep buying stuff, and we can kind of keep our eyes out for it as we see it.
Okay, thanks.
What else? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. This session has been recorded. The recordings will be available on Monday, and they'll be available from the same place you registered here. So everybody take care. Stay safe out there. Have a good long weekend. If that's...
Don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions you think of later.
Yes.
We'd be happy to respond very quickly.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
Bye.